Mary was barely in this episode. I'm okay with that. Lisa seems to think that she can multitask. She can't. And Heather is my all-time favorite, maybe ever housewife. I love her. Hey guys, welcome back to Real Housewives Recaps. Today I am so excited to be covering Real Housewives Salt Lake City Season 1, Episode 8. You guys, I am so enjoying Salt Lake City. I think this is my favorite franchise right now, maybe. I still will always have a special spot for New York, of course. But I really am. I'm enjoying Salt Lake City so much. Just wanted to wish you all a happy new year. 2020 sucks. Good riddance. Excited for 2021. Everybody stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you guys for all the love and support. I sincerely appreciate it. Happy New Year's. Hey guys, I just want to take a second and say if you're enjoying this show, please check out my Patreon. Go to patreon.com, search Real Housewives Recaps, or check the comments below and I'll put a link. And for $1 a week, you can support my show and get 4 bonus episodes per month. I'm covering Scary Island, like the greatest season of Real Housewives in New York. So check it out. Thanks so much. Right off the bat, we see Mary FaceTiming her son, saying, when you buy your girlfriend a Prada purse for Christmas, do you spend my money or yours? And I'm thinking, is it your money, Mary, or is it the church's? Apparently, he put a Prada bag on Mary's credit card. She says, don't buy anything else expensive like that unless you plan on marrying her. You guys, I really tried with Mary. I'm okay with it. She was barely in this episode. I feel like that was just a Frankenstein clip that they had waiting that they stuck in here because we really didn't see her. And I really didn't miss her. So then we go over to Whitney and Justin. They're on a date night. And she's saying she hopes to get laid afterwards. She says she used to surprise him as different characters, like a homely mom. That's what she said. Oops, my shirt fell off. I normally get cringed out by this kind of stuff, but I don't feel like it's put on for cameras. I really do feel like they have a chemistry. It might be because we saw her grinding on his face last episode, but I do feel like they have a real chemistry. Okay, for my standout star, Heather. I love Heather. I want to ride a snowmobile with Heather, but I guess that would defeat the point because she likes to go by herself, but I love her. I feel like she's just the right amount of kooky and fun and not so put on for the cameras. I feel like she's vulnerable. I love her. I'm so proud of her. I sound like I know her, but I'm so proud of her because this has always been her dream to own a business. And she never thought she said she always thought she would, but she didn't know how it would work because she was a stay-at-home mom. And she really wants the fulfillment of this all and says it's been full circle redemption for her of where she was before her marriage. And sounds like her husband would say things like, if she went out and did a gig or something, she'd bring home a couple $100 and he just didn't think it was worth it. But it fulfills her, so it's exciting to see her expanding her location. Then we go over to Meredith. All right, let's talk about this. So Brooks calls. What are your thoughts here? I'll be honest with you. Brooks does not bother me. He just doesn't. I chalk him up to being super young and overzealous to be on Housewives, so he doesn't bother me. It's Seth that really bothers me. He creeps me out. But I saw online last night after the episode, because I love to read what people are saying, that a lot of people were saying that they just can't with Brooks. So what are your thoughts on that? Do you feel like he's too thirsty? Is he adding anything to the show? Is he subtracting from the show? And do you see what I'm saying about Seth? Because I'm ready to jump out my window. So it's still this thing about Brooks's fashion show. Seth wasn't there. Meredith blames herself because if you remember that they're separated, well, they end up talking it through, and it sounds like they both came to the conclusion they don't want to be separated. And he's saying it gave him a taste of life, she said it gave her a taste of life without him, and she doesn't want that. She can't imagine her life without him. And I'm like, girl, you are so much better than this guy. He just gives me the heebie-jeebies. Like, my gut tells me there's something wrong with him. Okay, so John and Lisa meet for dinner, and she walks in saying, amazing. And Oh, it's gorgeous. That's my impersonation of Lisa. Everything, her voice, everything's, I love that. Okay. So she's saying there's so many perks to owning a liquor brand. It's easy for me to get a reservation anywhere. Okay, so she says she keeps getting DMs coming off Sundance saying, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you do it. Lisa says, okay, so Lisa and John are talking about what can they, he wants to give things up. She's like, no, we need to keep going. I need to get, she just doesn't want to stop, basically. So an interesting part here, so two things. One, she's talking about everything she can do on her phone. She's like, I can be on my phone, I can talk to you, and I can sing Britney Spears in my head all at the same time. But then we see a producer ask, so did you have a good time at dinner with John? And Lisa hesitates and say, what did you say? So obviously she can't. Plus I find it rude, personally. But the weird thing here is she and John both say that the work is first, and then the kids, and then them as a couple. And am I the only one that felt like, whoa, I would never say that. Even if you felt that way, I would never say work is over kids. They can see this footage, I just think it's so rude. Now, she does, kind of cry and say she worries, she has mom guilt. I'm not trying to add to that. I'm just saying that's a big statement to put on camera, to say that you pick work over your children. I did notice on her social media last night that she put up a family picture and basically said she loves them. I feel like she was getting a lot of hate, so she probably felt like she needed to do some damage control and put up a picture like that. Okay, so then we go over to Whitney and Justin. Now let's get into this storyline because shit is crazy. I really like Whitney. She is truly showing what's going on in her life, and one of the things going on in her life is she has a father who's dealt with years and years of addiction. And she's explaining that she got a frantic SOS call because Dad found out that he's about to get a roommate. And this is what made me love Whitney so much, is she had this line that says, he thinks he's at the Four Seasons. He's not entitled to have his own room. He's not entitled to have his pillows fluffed every night. He's there to put in the work and to get better. And she's realizing that he's not accountable yet, or he's not responsible yet. And they believe that he's using this as an excuse to flee rehab. So then they go in even further and explain, so his name is Steve. Steve he says he's anxious about this guy coming in. He wants to go out. He wants to get back in the game. He wants to be productive. He wants to pick up a career and own a salon. And Whitney asks, have you looked for a job? And he says no. And Whitney explains, you can't just come out of here, open something. You have to have a plan. You have to make the money to pay for that. And Steve is admitting he needs some help. So here's where things got really crazy. She explains the first time she took him to rehab. Now I want to go back up and say I think if she explained it right, she's the only child that supported him from the beginning, there for him through his addictions. There was one, that half brother, the one that owned the judo salon? The martial arts studio? Sorry. He sounds like he's been there some too, but Whitney has been there the most. So she's explained the first time she took to rehab, he wanted her to pay for it and made a list of everything he had paid for in her life, education, dance, sports, etc., saying because he chose to have her, that she owes him $30,000 for rehab. And she said, in that moment, I was like, F you, but she still ended up paying for it. So that is so sad to hear. And she goes on to say that he just expects that they're going to give him money. and open up their home to him and give him a car and have him live with them. And I know you help family, but I'm sorry, he's the dad. It's not their responsibility, it's his. This is ridiculous, and I'm so glad Whitney opened up about it, about how crazy this whole thing is, and hopefully can put a stop to it, because it is crazy. Okay, then we go to the fun part of the episode. So everybody but Mary ends up meeting up for this snowmobiling adventure. It was hosted by Jen and Coach Shah. P.S. I like Coach Shah. I was prepared not to like him because of the stuff that Jen has been saying about him being absent, but I actually really liked him. I thought he was really likable, really down to earth. I like when he explained that she's Tabasco sauce and you can only take her in small doses. And he seems so calm and smart, and I just like him. I think they're great. So they talk about the snowmobiling, and everybody arrives, and they have to take cars up to the snowmobile. This is where I love Heather, because she's saying she's single. She has no problem being single. Snowmobiling is like sex, much more fulfilling if you do it alone. I love her. So everybody's riding. We see a couple of them flip at some point. Sounds like everybody's okay, but a lot of them fall over. And Whitney is saying, I feel bad for them as they're dumping, saying she really likes to be a single rider. So they stop for a snow picnic, which sounds like so much fun. And we see Meredith and Seth smooching, and Whitney says she's confused because they seem all lovey-dovey, but Jen just told Whitney that Meredith was getting it from somewhere else. So let's talk about this. I feel like I really wanted to like Jen, but it's like she's so thirsty for a storyline that she's almost crossed into Lisa Rinna for me, where she will say anything for a storyline. So do I believe that Meredith had some on the side? No, I don't. I think it was just for a storyline for Jen to be causing drama. Let's see. So they're stopping for the snow picnic. Jen says she's happy when Sharif is with her and with her friends. She wishes that she had this more often. Coach is saying that he has never seen anyone so pretty when they met in college. So sweet. So apparently she invited her cousins on the first date. We heard a whole story about that. It was so cute. He ended up paying for dinner for everybody and was still kind of put in a friend zone for a little bit. It's so cute. So he says that he was drawn to her and how sweet she was. And Whitney says to camera, do you know your wife? And we see all these flashbacks of Jen being awful, which is hilarious. So then we see... so Jen and Sharif invite the group to their house after snowmobiling. And Whitney and Justin have a game or something, so they can't make it. But a lot of the other people are going to... Oh, Heather can't make it either, but everybody else is coming. So Whitney pulls Heather aside and says it's really interesting to see Meredith and Seth all lovey-dovey. It makes her question the talk that Jen had with her, and explains Jen said she heard some things, wants to know if Jen said some things to Heather as well. And Heather says she did, but I'm not interested in hearing or knowing anymore. So I say good for, again, I love Heather, but good for them. They basically said, listen, Jen's just talking out of her ass. I don't choose to believe it. They happy, and if they want to see other people, that's on them. That's none of our business, so I'm with them. They say this just isn't what friends do, and they figured out that Jen must be sharing this information, and not cool, Jen. Okay, so then we go over to Jen's chalet with the coach, and I've heard a lot of people say this house is rented. You know, I'm pretty naive to that stuff. Even if it is, that doesn't bother me. It feels like a lot of stuff with her is fake. I don't care if she rents a house. In fact, I probably prefer it because I know what a regular house looks like. I live in one. So yeah, I want to see these big, obnoxious McMansions, on TV. Rent your house, girl. I don't care. So the group arrives. No Heather, no Whitney, no Mary. But the rest of them arrive, and they're going to have dinner. And it's just interesting. I actually enjoyed this scene a lot because we see the coach and Jen are practicing Muslims. And a lot of the rest of the group are either Mormons or former Mormons, or in Lisa's case, Mormon Light, whatever you want to be. So they're comparing the religious rules, practices, that sort of thing. So they're comparing Muslims are allowed to have caffeine, whereas Mormons aren't supposed to do that. Muslims don't believe in sex before marriage. It's just interesting. He was very gracious about all the questions that they asked, and then he ended up asking, and I thought this was interesting. He asked Lisa, so she has an alcohol company, of course, her and her husband, and he wants to know about how she can practice Mormonism and have an alcohol company. And apparently that's a no-no. So she says it's a personal view, and she said she doesn't think it's wrong, basically. She's a Mormon, but not a social Mormon, is what she says. So no judgment here. Do you do whatever feels right? If you think it's right, go for it. It didn't bother me in the least. But I thought it was interesting to see the open dialogue. I really don't know much about Mormonism, so any chance I have to learn, I think is interesting. Jen always has a lot to say and says, that's not Mormon church, that's Lisa church. So after dinner, the group separates. The girls decide to go get in the hot tub, and the guys are bonding and playing some games upstairs. So Lisa asks if Sharif minds that they all came over since it's pretty much their only night together. And Jen basically says, nope, I told him it was happening, so he just has to deal with it. We go to him, and he's explaining he recruits all year long. His family gets lonely. They're kind of cutting back and forth between the men and the women. She's worried that, I guess her son is about to go off to college, so she's worried about what that will be like for her. And lonely, basically. And then Lisa says that she expects John to take care of her. Again, flash between the men and the women. The women are talking about Jen. Oh, Jen brings up to the women that Sharif couldn't even go to her dad's funeral. So just a lot. It's just interesting. So he says something interesting, which is sometimes when he's home, she's traveling. But he says that she holds more weight when he's gone than when she's gone. So just an interesting dynamic there. So Meredith, they start asking Meredith, what's going on with you and Seth? I thought you were separated. She says she'll let them know when she's ready and she's confident in her relationship. So for now, she just tells them she feels like she's headed in a positive direction. Jen to camera is upset and says, I'm opening myself up, and Meredith acts like her life is perfect. I'm the only messed up one. I say, Jen, you're projecting. I understand completely where Meredith is coming from. If you feel like your relationship isn't 100% solid, you probably don't want to talk to your friends about it. Especially TV friends. if you're scared, And so, again, it's like I finally saw Jen for what she is. I mean, I've been seeing it, but I saw it more this episode. Just everything is, everybody's talking about Brooks being a thirsty bee online, but I'd say Jen is a thirsty bee because everything she says is either to create drama or it's a dig. And while I love that usually in a housewife, it's almost too much. I'm going back to the Lisa Rinna comparison. That's all I can think about. It's just too much. Settle down. She has enough weird and interesting in her life that I don't think she needs all that. So it's not helping her at all. Okay, so then we get a flash to next week's episode. We see Lisa has some penguins. Brooks is telling his parents he doesn't want them to have sex. He's in the bedroom below them. We see Heather with her kids and possibly their dad, I'm assuming. Mary says Jen's having a party and she's not invited and she cries. What's going on there? I don't mean why is she not invited. Mary bugs me too. But why are they already phasing her out of the episodes? I mean, I didn't miss her, but I'm just asking. It's kind of strange this early on. Jen is having a party for Coach Shah. They're celebrating Sharif's birthday. Heather and Whitney go to talk to Jen, I guess about what's going on, what she's saying about the Meredith stuff. She gets mad. She throws a glass, because why would she ever want to miss making a scene, even if it's at her husband's birthday party? And that is it for the episode. So I enjoyed it. I know not much happened this episode, but I really am enjoying Salt Lake City. It's just kind of a breath of fresh air for me. Fun to recap, fun to talk about. I'm enjoying it. So I hope you guys are too. Again, stay healthy, stay safe. Happy New Year. I appreciate all the comments and support. You guys are fantastic. If you want to further support the show, please check out my Patreon. It's $1 a week, $4 a month, gets you 4 bonus episodes. So thank you guys for everything, and let's hope for a better 2021. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye.